Yeah, I can hear. Hi, everyone.
Okay. Hi, dear. Let's start our topic now, everyone. Ashwani, Ravneet, Vivek. Ravneet, any question from previous session?
Not yet, Jitu.
Okay, now let's focus on our next topic. And after high availability, after high availability, we are trying to focus on into this section. After high availability, we are trying to focus on a user ID concept today. After user ID, we can go for decryption implementation. Let's focus on this user ID topic first. So what is the requirement for user ID topic? User ID concept in Palo Alto. In Palo Alto Firewall, you can say user ID. And in Checkpoint Firewall device, you can say identity awareness concept. And in FortiGate Firewall box, you can say firewall authentication. Firewall authentication. And in Palo Alto, it's a user ID topic. In Palo Alto Firewall, it's a user ID topic. Rupa, can you hear me? Okay, so let's talk about what is the requirement of this user ID topic. So I have a simple design. I have a simple topology. I have one Palo Alto firewall device. This Palo Alto firewall device is connected with LAN side portion. This is LAN side network, and in LAN side we have multiple computers. Other side we are using as a public side network or ISP side portion. ISP side network. Now on outside we have one server, for example 8.8.8.8. And this inside IP, this inside machine, for example, 192.168.10.10, trying to communicate with this outside 8.8.8 server. So to allow our traffic, we can create our security policy, right? We can create our security policy, and in security policy, we can add some information. Okay, this portion is your LAN side portion, LAN side network. This side is your WAN side portion. So to allow our traffic, we can create security policy. And in security policy, we can add source zone information, source IP information, destination zone, destination IP, service or protocol. After that, we can take action. Action is what? Allow. So this rule name, for example, it's a rule number one. And as per this rule number one, if traffic is traveling from LAN zone to WAN zone, WAN side portion, traffic is allowed. If traffic is traveling from LAN side network and trying to go on WAN side network, traffic is allowed. So this machine, this inside machine is hitting this rule and traffic is traveling. Inside machine can establish its connection with this 8.8.8, no problem, as per security policy. As per firewall admin, if I'm trying to verify log information, if someone will hit on this rule number one, I want to verify log information. In logs, I can only verify what is source zone, what is destination zone, what is source IP, what is destination IP. That's it. In logs, we can only verify IP address information. IP address information. We don't know which user account. We don't know which user account is trying to access this traffic. We don't know. In logs, we can only verify IP address information. We don't have full visibility. We have only IP address information. This source IP is trying to access 8.8.8. Maybe multiple users are working with this machine. So I don't know which user account is trying to access this malicious application, which user account is trying to click on this malicious link. I don't know. I have only IP address information. So for full visibility, For full visibility in network, we can create user account. We can create user account. To create user account, we have two options. We can create our user account in local database. This is the first option. We can create user account in Palo Alto Firewall local database. Local database. Yes, you can create user account. For example, if you are working in a small network, like for example, you want to create 5 users, 10 users, 15 users, no problem. You can create in local database. You can utilize in your policy. In case if you are working in a big network, and in your network you have remote authentication server, centralized database server for user account, group account. Then if I have remote authentication server, for example, in my network, I have radius server, or maybe I have TechX server, or you have LDAP server, lightweight directory access protocol, or you can say AD server, Active Directory Domain and Service. So these are remote authentication database for user account, group account. How to create radius and TechX? This is not our task. How to prepare radius server and TechX server? This is not our task. No. To prepare radius server and TechX server, we have separate administrator. It's called Cisco ICE Engineer. Cisco ICE Engineer can prepare this radius server and TechX server. To prepare LDAP server or Microsoft Active Directory, you need MCSA certified server administrator, or you need MCSE server administrator. So MCSE certified server administrator can prepare LDAP server or Microsoft Active Directory. These are remote database. These are centralized database. So you can utilize remote authentication data. What you can do, you can prepare any remote authentication server, and in our design, in our lab, we can prepare one AD server. Yes. Okay, we can do our testing with AD server. This is centralized database. I want to show you how to use centralized database. So we can prepare one AD server, Microsoft Active Directory Domain and Service. It's a centralized database, everyone. Centralized database. So we can prepare one AD server. This is ADDS server. ADDS. We can discuss how to do integration. In between Palo Alto Firewall and AD server. Otherwise, if you are working in a small network, no problem. You can go with local database. But if you have 100 user account, 200 user account, 500 user account, then yes, you need centralized database. All the user accounts are available into this centralized database. Server administrator will create all the user account, group account into this centralized database. This is domain scenario. This is domain network. For example, domain network is abc.com. We can prepare abc.com just for testing. abc.com. You can prepare AD server in your testing scenario. It is important because if you want to learn how to do integration with firewall device, you need to know how to prepare AD server. It will take maximum 15 to 20 minutes to prepare AD server. Once you prepare, then you can learn how to do integration with Palo Alto, with FortiGate, with Checkpoint, with FTD, with Cisco ASA. So in testing scenario, you need to know how to prepare AD server, and we can create, no problem. So my point is what? This is domain scenario. All the user accounts are available into this centralized database, and they are domain users. They are what? Domain users. I can join these computers into this Active Directory, to this domain abc.com. Okay, we can go for integration. We can tell to Palo Alto Firewall device, please use remote authentication database. Once you complete your integration, then in policy this time, I'm trying to add with source zone, with source IP, I'm trying to add what? Source user information. Now I can add source user. So when traffic will hit on, for example, this domain user is trying to log in with his username and password. He can initiate his traffic. When traffic will hit on this firewall will check, is there any policy available for this user account? If policy is available, traffic is traveling. Traffic is traveling. If traffic is traveling, now you have full visibility. In logs, now you can get the information, what is source zone, what is source IP, and what is source user account. You have full visibility. And this task you can do for domain user full visibility. Ashwani, clear my point? Ravneet, Rupa, Vivek. Now, these are domain users. They are what? Domain users. In case in your network you have some guest user, for example, you have some guest user, for example, they are guest users. Okay, they are not permanent users. I cannot join these computers with Active Directory. No. Okay, they are guest user. So for guest user full visibility, what we can do? For guest user full visibility, we can use a concept is called what? Captive portal. We can enable this feature, captive portal. It's a common concept, everyone. Captive portal, it's a common concept. In Palo Alto Firewall, you can say captive portal. In FortiGate, you can say captive portal. In Checkpoint, you can say browser-based authentication. It's a common concept. So we can enable captive portal feature, okay, on this LAN facing interface. I will enable captive portal on this LAN interface. Now this guest user, for example, he can connect his cable, and in your network you have DSCP server. DSCP server is providing all the IP address information, IP address, mask, gateway, DNS entry. So this guest user, he can connect his cable, he's getting all the IP address information from DSCP. This guest user can initiate his traffic. So when traffic will go and hit on this LAN interface, when traffic will hit on this LAN interface, this Palo Alto Firewall device will provide him a captive portal page. When traffic will hit on this interface, Palo Alto Firewall will provide him a captive portal page. This guest user need to authenticate with captive portal page, and you as a firewall administrator, you can create some user account for guest user. You can create some user account into the centralized database. You can create some user account into the centralized database. Otherwise, no problem. Sorry, into this local database. Otherwise, no problem. You can go with centralized database. For example, I can create some user account for guest user. So you can create your user account, and these username and password you can provide to all guest user. So if this guest user will hit on this LAN interface, firewall will provide him a captive portal page. Please authenticate first. If you want to access HTTPS service or internet traffic, please authenticate first. So this inside guest user, he need to authenticate with his username and password. And if he is successfully authenticated, after that firewall will check traffic information. Is there any policy available for this user account into security policy? If policy is available, then traffic is traveling. And if traffic is traveling, so this time you have full visibility for guest user. My point is you have full visibility for your domain users. You have full visibility for your guest user. And this is the topic, user ID concept. Clear my point? Ashwani, Ravneet, Rupa, Vivek.
Yes, Jitu.
Okay. Let's try to prepare this design. Okay. What I'm doing, I have a simple design, simple topology, one Palo Alto firewall device. And this portion I'm using as a LAN side portion, and Ethernet 1/2 we are using as a WAN side network. So in LAN side portion, we have this server. It's a new server. Okay, I will prepare this server, no problem. LDAP server. Let's prepare this LDAP server first. After that, we can go for integration. I'm trying to create domain scenario first. And we have two machines for testing. One is domain user verification, and second PC I'm using for guest user verification. So we have two machines for verification. Let's try to prepare our AD server first. AD server. It will take hardly 15 to 20 minutes. So this is a new server. It's a new server. I'm trying to log in. So first you can configure IP address. You can configure IP address. Wait. As per our design, you can see as per our design, I'm trying to configure 200.200.200.200 here. ncpa.cpm. Internet Protocol TCP/IP version 4. IP address 200.200.200.200. 200.200.200.1. This is firewall IP address, firewall gateway IP. Now 200.200.200. Same IP I'm using in DNS entry. Same IP I'm using in DNS because I'm trying to install DNS service and Microsoft Active Directory service in same machine, same server. Now alternative DNS is 8.8.8, for example. 8.8.8, you can click on OK. You can click on close. Once you configure your IP address, once you configure IP address information, then you can click on server manager. Here is a tab. Server manager. You can click on server manager. In server manager, you can click on add rules and feature. Add rules and feature. You can click on next, click on next, click on next. And now I'm trying to add these rules. Microsoft Active Directory domain and service and DNS service role. Let's try to install these two features, rules you can say. Click on next, 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 install. This will take time. Now you can click on close and you can see this notification message here. Notification message. Promote this server to a domain controller. You can click on this. You can select this option, add a new forest. And for testing domain name, I'm using abc.com. abc.com for testing. Domain name is abc.com. Click on next. Now password I'm using pass@123. Pass@123. You can click on next, next, next. 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 Click on install. Now this will take time. Once Active Directory and DNS service will install, the server will reboot automatically. So please wait 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, this will take time. This will take time so we can prepare our domain machine. This machine is a domain machine. Let's verify. Right now, it's not a domain machine. Okay, it's a workgroup PC. But we can join this machine in Active Directory. You can verify it's not a domain machine. You can right click on my computer, go to properties. You can see this machine is not part of any domain. It's a part of workgroup. Workgroup. So we can configure IP address. Same subnet of IP I'm using. ncpa.cpl. IP address as per our design. IP address as per our design. I'm using 200.200.200.24. DNS IP I'm using 200, 200 dot 200 dot 200 dot. This is Microsoft Active Directory server IP address 200.200.200.200. Now alternative DNS is 8.8.8. You can click on OK. Click on close. Now IP config. So we are using 200.200.200.24. Okay. Now let's wait for the server. Please wait, okay? It's taking time. Active Directory is taking time, so let's prepare this Palo Alto Firewall device. Palo Alto Firewall device. I'm trying to configure LAN interface and WAN interface. Let's try to prepare this Palo Alto Ethernet 1/1 and Ethernet 1/2. Let's verify. Network tab interface. Okay, we have IP address 200.200.200.1 on LAN interface and Ethernet 1/2 99 dot. Okay, we have proper IP address configuration. Let's go to Active Directory. Now, once you install Active Directory DNS server, Ashwani, Ravi, Rupa, Vivek, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. Once you install Active Directory, after that server will reboot automatically. And now I'm trying to log in. If you guys remember, domain name I'm using abc.com. So there's a domain name abc/administrator. ABC is what? It's a domain name. So after Active Directory installation, if I'm trying to log in into this server device, you can see you need to change password. So password I'm using pass@123, pass@123. Now, how we can verify Active Directory service is installed and working properly? Let's verify. To start our verification, we can go to Start button. We can search for Active Directory. We can search for Active Directory user and computers. This tab I'm looking for. Active Directory and user and computers. And this is centralized database, everyone. This is centralized database. See, abc.com, users tab, and this is centralized database. Here, server administrator can create all user account, group account, OU information. Let's create some user account for testing. So I'm creating user account, right click, new, user, MKT1. So I'm creating user account MKT1, MKT1. Password, pass@123, pass@123. Let's create sales user. So S1 user account, S1 pass@123, pass@123. Okay, I'm creating one more user account, HR1, for example. User HR1, HR1, pass@123, pass@123. Now we can create some group account here, new group. marketing-grp, click on OK. Let's create one more group, sales group. So sales-grp. Then we can create HR-grp. So we have some user account, group account into this centralized database. Let's try to add users into group. So HR group members. I'm trying to add user account into this group. So HR1. Click on OK, click on apply, click on OK. Now marketing group. I'm trying to add MKT1. If you guys remember, we have user account MKT1. MKT1 is a part of marketing group. Let's go to sales group. Sales group, I'm trying to add S1 user account. Sales1. Click on OK, click on apply, click on OK. Done. This is centralized database. Now we can verify one more information, DNS service. DNS is a service. With DNS, you can resolve IP to name and name to IP. DNS service is required. So you can go to start button, you can search for DNS service. This is DNS manager. You can expand this SRV. SRV is what? It's this device host name. SRV, it's a device host name. You can verify here. This is computer name. Computer name for the server, SRV. So now you can expand this SRV. You can expand this SRV. Here you have forward lookup zone, a reverse lookup zone. So what is forward lookup zone? What is a reverse lookup zone? What is primary zone, secondary zone, stub zone? This is not our task. Ashwani, Ravneet, Rupa, Vivek, everyone. This is not our task. Okay, I'm trying to prepare this server as an Active Directory. So we can follow some step to prepare this server. Okay. But yes, if you are learning Microsoft server technology, yes, DNS is a topic. DNS is a proper topic. In DNS, DNS will take 5 to 6 hours. If you want to learn complete DNS service, it will take 5 to 6 hours. But right now I'm trying to prepare this server as a Active Directory and DNS service. So we are following some step. So you can right click on reverse lookup zone. You can go to new zone, click on next zone. I'm not changing anything. Okay, let's go with the default option. Next, next, next. Now what is network ID? Network ID is 200. What is network ID? 200, 200, 200 network I'm using. Click on next, next, finish. Now you can right click on SRV. You can refresh this page. Right click on SRV. You can click on launch NSLookup. You can click on launch NSLookup. If you click on launch NSLookup, you can get a proper response, but you can see we are getting some error message here. DNS request timed out, default server unknown. So to troubleshoot this error, we can go to LAN card setting. Right click, go to properties. First, you can uncheck this option, Internet Protocol TCP/IPv6. First, you can uncheck this option. Then you can go with Internet Protocol TCP/IP version 4 properties. And you can see DNS IP is removed automatically. So once you install Active Directory and DNS, once you restart, okay, this IP will remove automatically. So we need to configure again. 200, 200, 200, 200. Now 8 dot, 8 dot, 8 dot, 8 dot, 8. You can click on OK. You can click on close. You can click on OK. Now you can refresh this SRV. You can right click on SRV. You can go with launch NSLookup. This time you are getting a proper response message. See, default server is srv.abc.com. And this is your Active Directory server IP address. This server is ready, everyone. Ashwani, Rupa, Vivek. This server is ready. You can verify, you can go to this domain machine. I'm trying to join this machine into this Active Directory. Right click on my computer. You can go to properties, change setting, change option, and domain name, member of domain. Domain name I'm using abc.com. You can click on OK. When you click on OK, you will get a tab for permission, authentication permission. So server administrator account is administrator, ADMINISTRATOR. Password I'm using pass@1. So to join this machine into Active Directory, you need admin permission. And once this machine will join into this Active Directory, you can see you are getting a message, welcome to abc.com. This machine is a part of now Active Directory. You need to restart this machine now. Now, all the user accounts, my point is all the user accounts are available into the centralized database, but this machine can log in here. Domain users can log in into here. Wait, let's verify. We have HR1 user account, Marketing1 user account, and S1 user account. We can try to log in these user account into this centralized database, sorry, into this domain machine. Now switch user. I'm trying to log in with this, for example, Marketing1. Let's try to log in with the Marketing1. Marketing1 user account is available into this Active Directory, but I can log in here. Let's verify. I can log in here. I can log in into this Windows 7 machine, but because this machine is a part of domain now. Marketing user, now you can log in on any computer, any domain computer. See, preparing your desktop. So it's working. This domain scenario is working fine. All the user accounts are available into this centralized database, and we can log in these user account in domain machine, in domain PC. See, I'm trying to log in with MKT user account here. Clear this task, everyone. See, I can log in here. I can log in. See, this is marketing MKT1 user account. Ashwini clear, Rupa, Vivek. Everyone, clear this
Yes,
task.
yes.
Can we take a break for 10 minutes, everyone? Let's take a
Yeah,
break
sure.
for 10 minutes,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Then we can go for, after break, we can go for integration task. Now this Active Directory is ready, right? This Active Directory
Yeah.
server is ready. So now we can do our integration. We can go for integration task. Let's take a break for 10 minutes. So 6:40 on my side. We can continue at 6:50, okay? Please turn off your mic. Hi everyone, can you hear me? Ashwini, Rupa, Vivek, everyone. Okay, let's continue our discussion now. So our Active Directory server is ready now, and we can log in user accounts into this domain machine. You can see MKT1. Now let's talk about integration part. First, I'm trying to create user account. I'm trying to create user account in Palo Alto Firewall local database. How to create user account in local database? You can go to device tab. You can go with this option, this tab option to create user account in local storage, in local database. This is tab, local user database. So I'm creating user account. For example, you can click on users, you can click on add, and I'm creating user account. For example, user 5, password 1234567 1234567 So I'm creating user 5 and user 6. In Palo Alto Firewall local database. You can click on OK. Okay, you can create a group account, no problem. For example, I'm creating a group. Group name, I'm using local underscore users. You can click on add. I'm trying to add both the user accounts into this group, local underscore user, or you can say local underscore group. You can click on OK. Now, once you create user account in local database, then you can go with this option, authentication profile. In Palo Alto Firewall, to define database, you can create authentication profile. For example, I'm creating one authentication profile. In authentication profile, I will go with local database. I will use local database. First, you can give a name for this authentication profile. For example, local -auth. Type, you can click on type option. You can see, you can go with local database. You can go with radius option, remote authentication dial and user service, LDAP or TechX server. So I'm trying to go with into this authentication profile. I'm using local database. You can click on advanced. You can add your user account or group account information. For example, user 5 or user 6. You can click on OK. So our first task, we can create a user account in local database. We can utilize these user account for guest user authentication. But for domain user authentication, we need to do integration. We need to integrate this Palo Alto Firewall device with LDAP server. So for integration, you can click on add option. You can click on add. You can give a name here. You can give a name. For example, I'm giving a name remote-auth. Now type I'm using. In our design, I'm using LDAP server, Microsoft Active Directory, LDAP server. Now you can define server profile here. You can define server profile. In server profile, you can add LDAP server information. Here you can add LDAP server information. Now, before add LDAP server information, let's verify here. In our design, everyone, LDAP server we are using in LAN side portion in our design. But for any services, by default, for any services, Palo Alto Firewall is using management port always for any services. Okay, it means you need to put all your servers. You need to put all your servers in management network side. For example, you need to put your LDAP server or TechX server or Radius server in your management network side. Because by default, for all services, Palo Alto is using management port. But in our design, we are using LDAP servers in LAN side portion. okay, in LAN side portion. You can see, you can verify here. If you go to Palo Alto Firewall device, okay, let's cancel this first. If you verify, if you go to device tab, you click on setup. If you go to services tab here, services tab, you can go with this option, service route configuration. Service route configuration. If you edit this option, you can see for everything, Palo Alto Firewall is using what? Management interface. See, use management interface for all services. In our design, LDAP server, we are not using on management side network. LDAP server, we are using on LAN side portion, on Ethernet 1/1 site. So you can go to Palo Alto Firewall device. You can click on customize. You can click on customize. You can see these are the services. These are the services. For all services, Palo Alto is using management port by default. But in our design, LDAP is a part of LAN Ethernet 1/1 port. So let's try to define in Palo Alto Firewall device. I'm using Ethernet 1/1. So for DNS service, I'm saying I'm using Ethernet 1/1. Click on OK. Now for Kerberos, so for some services like for Kerberos authentication, I'm using Ethernet 1/1. Now for LDAP, I'm using Ethernet 1/1. Now one more information we need to add, UID agent. For UID agent, I'm using what? Ethernet 1/1. So for four services, UID agent and Kerberos LDAP, and for DNS service, I'm using Ethernet 1/1. You can click on OK. You can click on commit. Click on commit. Now we can go for integration. Let's create authentication profile. This will take time. Please wait. Now we can create authentication profile. You can click on authentication profile here. Now I'm in authentication profile. What we can do, we can define our database. So now I'm trying to use a remote database. You can first give a name for this authentication profile. I'm giving remote -auth 11. Now type I'm using LDAP server. Now server profile. So now I can add server information in LDAP profile. First, you can give a name. Any name you can configure here. You can use. Like for example, I'm using LDAP -server 1. Now server list. Yes, I have one LDAP server. You can give any name here. For example, SRV1. And what is LDAP server IP address? As per our design, 200.200.200. So this is LDAP server IP address. Now you can configure server setting here. You can configure server settings. So in type, you can select Active Directory. In base DN, what is base DN? DN is what? Distinguished name. So in base DN, we can define domain name. What domain name we are using in our testing scenario? Our domain name is abc.com. You can check again. This is our domain name, abc.com. Into this abc.com, this ABC is our first domain controller. In server, we have a word domain controller. So this ABC is a first domain controller. This com is your second domain controller. Okay, if this domain name is training.abc.com, so training is a first domain controller, ABC is a second domain controller, and com is a third domain controller. Right now we have only abc.com. So ABC is a separate DC domain controller and com is separate domain controller. We can add information here. First in DN, we can add domain name. Domain name is what? abc.com. Now in bind.dn, you can add admin information. So in Palo Alto Firewall, Ashwani, Rupa, Vivek, if I'm using FortiGate firewall device or checkpoint firewall device, it's a simple task. It's a very simple task in checkpoint and in FortiGate. But in Palo Alto Firewall, if you are working with Palo Alto Firewall, if you are looking for integration, so you need to create a separate user account. You need to create a special user account for integration in Active Directory database. Ashwini, clear my point? Rupa, Vivek. If we are working with FortiGate firewall device or checkpoint firewall device, no problem. Task is very simple. We can go with this default admin account. No problem. In FortiGate and in checkpoint. But in Palo Alto Firewall, we can create a separate special user account for integration. Clear my point, everyone? Clear, everyone? Ashwani, Rupa, Vivek. Okay. So now let's create
Yeah.
one user account here. Let's create one user account. So user account I'm creating, for example, PA. User account is what? PA. So this one is a special user account. How you can say it's a special user account? Because I'm trying to add this user account in multiple group. For integration, you can right click on PA user, go to properties. You can click on member of. This user account is a part of domain user by default. This user, it's a part of domain user group. But I'm trying to add some other group here. For example, I'm trying to add in server operator group. I'm trying to add event log reader. Now I'm trying to add, event log, server operator, domain user, and one more user. Wait, let me check. Okay, distributed com user. Okay. This is not our task in a real network. This is not our task. This is server administrator responsibility. Server administrator can create and can add user account in group. Now, distributed com user, click on OK, click on apply, click on OK. Now we can go to run option. We can go to run. We can type, wait. We can type wmimgmt.msc. I'm giving permission, full access permission for this special user account. So you can go to run tab. See, run. You can type wmimgmt.msc. You can right click on WMI control properties. You can go to security tab. You can expand this root option. You can expand this CIMV2. You can right click. You can go to setting security. Now I'm trying to add user account. Our special user account is what? PA. PA user account. We are trying to add all permission for this user account. Everything. Allow. You can click on apply, click on OK, click on OK, close this option. Close this option. Now let's go to Palo Alto Firewall device. Now we can add. What is special user account? PA. PA@abc.com. PA is a part of abc.com. What password we are using? pass@123. Pass@123. Okay, uncheck this option. You can click on OK. Now you can add login attributes. Login attributes. Microsoft Server Microsoft Windows Server is using SAM account database. Microsoft Server is using SAM account database for logging attributes. You can see, if you check here, Microsoft Server is using what? Microsoft SAM account database for user to store user account information. Microsoft is using in background, Microsoft is using Security Account Manager. SAM account is a database. So you can add this login attribute information. Right. You can add in login attribute, you can add SAM account database name. What is name format? SAM, S-A-M-A, SAM, A-C-C-O-U-N-T-N-A-M-E. This is format you want. SAM account name. It's a login attribute name. What is domain name? abc.com. Click on advanced and on ABC user account, ABC domain name. I'm talking about all users. I'm talking about all users. You can click on OK. You can click on commit. You can click on commit. And please wait, this will take time. Let's check our slide. So we complete our LDAP server profile. Yes, we complete. Okay, now we can go for user identification. Wait, let's commit this configuration first. So once you commit this configuration, you can click on close. Now you can go to a user identification tab. You can go to user identification tab. In user identification tab, you can go with user mapping option. In user mapping option, Palo Alto Firewall is using Palo Alto user ID agent. For mapping, Palo Alto is using Palo Alto network user ID agent setup. So for user as ID agent setup, you can click on edit. You can give a name. And this is the format. You can give a name. This is the format. First domain name and then user account. So domain name is what? Domain name is ABC. Wait. ABC/PA. Domain name is abc.com. Password, we are using pass@123, pass@123. No need to change anything. Just click on OK. So for user mapping setup, I'm using domain name ABC. Now, here you can go with server monitoring. Server monitoring is required. Why server monitoring is required? If there is a connection loss, there is a connection loss in between LDAP server and Palo Alto Firewall device. How you can verify connection is lost? So here you can monitor. Here you can monitor the status. So you can add server information in server monitoring. What is name? So you can type any name here. For example, LDAP-server 111. Now, what is IP address? IP address is 200, 200, 200, 200. You can click on OK. You can click on commit. Once you commit this configuration, you will get a status here connected. And if there is any issue, in connectivity, you will get a message not connected. Okay, let's wait. If everything is okay, you will get a message here connected. If you are getting not connected message, so try to verify your basic connectivity. Now you can see we are getting a message what status is connected. Status is what? Connected. Once you get this message, status is connected. Now you can go with group mapping setting. You can click on add. You can give a name, any name. For example, GR1. What is server profile name? Server profile name LDAP server 1. What is domain name? abc.com. And now you can click on group include list. Here you can get all user and group account information. You can expand this abc.com. Okay, maybe there is some issue. Wait. abc.com. Wait, I'm not getting response here. Give me 2 minutes. Everything is good. Okay, wait, let's refresh this page. And user mapping status is connected. abc/pa, abc.com, password is good. Let's verify again. Use group mapping. We can give a name, LDAP-GRP, just a name. Server profile is LDAP and domain name is abc.com. Group include list. Okay, what happened? I'm not getting. Let me check firewall setting here. Let's verify our basic connectivity. 200.1. Yes, we have a connectivity with Palo Alto Firewall device. I'm trying to add group mapping again. LDAP server 111 and LDAP file abc.com group include. Okay, maybe there is some issue. Let me check. SAM SAMACCOUNTNAME abc.com. It's good. All. Give me 2 minutes, everyone. Everyone, please give me 5 minutes, okay? I'm not getting database information here. SAM account, SAMA CCOUNT SAM account name, which is good. All abc.com. Active Directory based in. Okay, this is the mistake. Rupa, can you hear me, dear? Rupa, can you hear me? Okay, here is a mistake. Okay, here we need to define base DN. Base DN format is what? DC equal to ABC, comma, DC equal to com. So ABC is your first domain controller and com is your second domain controller. So you need to define domain controller into this format. DC equal to ABC, comma, DC equal to com. Now you can click on OK. You can commit your changes. You can commit your changes. Now we can verify. Wait. Now let's verify. Let's go to this user identification tab. Okay, we have server monitoring. Let's go with the group mapping setting. So you can give a name, for example, server grp1. Any name you can configure, you can use. Now LDAP server profile name is LDAP-server1. Domain name is abc.com. Now group include list. Now you can expand. Now we are getting database. Rupa, clear? We are getting database information. And if you expand this users tab, if you expand this user tab, you can see you will get all group account information here. See, if you remember, we have HR group. I'm trying to add marketing group. I'm trying to add. Now we have sales group. I'm trying to add. You can click on OK. You can commit these changes. Wait. Let's add this entry again. Okay, it's working slow. Server 1. Server profile is ldf-server1 abc.com group include. We can expand this abc.com, expand users. This is database. This is centralized database. Let me show you. This is a database, ABC users tab. So now in users tab, I'm trying to utilize only HR group, marketing group. We have one more group account here, sales group. You can click on OK. Now let's commit this changes, commit this changes. And now this time, if I'm trying to configure any policy, okay, let's try to create one policy rule. In policy rule, now I can add source user information. With IP address, we can add source user information. Let's verify. Let's commit this changes first. Rupa, I think other students are not available. So we can just verify. We can just verify in 5 minutes and the rest we can continue tomorrow with all students. Okay. Let's verify only integration task is complete or not. Let's go to policy, security policy. And if I'm trying to create a rule, to allow my traffic, yes, I can give a name. For example, rule 1, rule type, I'm using inter-zone communication rule. Source, I'm using LAN zone. Source address, I'm using any. But if you talk about source user this time, I'm not using any. This time I'm using select option. In select option, I can click on add. I can type here, see, ABC, all the user accounts are visible here, see, ABC HR, if you remember in ABC, if you remember into this database, we have HR group, HR group, we have marketing group, it's visible here, and sales group visible here. If you want to add user account information, you can type abc.com/. See, you are getting now user account information. See, HR1, marketing 1, and sales 1. See, HR1, marketing 1, sales 1. Now you can add user account information in your policy. Let's continue this discussion, Rupa, tomorrow with all other students. Clear this task? Okay, let's continue tomorrow, same time. Okay. Bye, dear. Bye, take care.